Hello everybody and welcome back to Rebellious Menstruation. Today's video is possibly going to be on the controversial side, as we will be looking at a very popular clothing brand in the minimalist sphere. This is not meant to offend any ambassadors for this product, but it is just kind of a deep dive into the company that I see a lot of in vloggers' videos. So of course I wanted to check them out. I do get a bit excited when there are more sustainable companies. However, not all is perfect. While I do not need clothing right now, I like having a list of companies I can purchase from, and I can use my non-essential buying time to research companies for this list. So I did with Everlane. Everlane has marketed itself as an ethical company with what they term as radical transparency and exceptional quality. From their own website, and I quote, "We partner with the best ethical factories around the world, source only the finest materials," end quote. They also state on their website that they use the same factories as designer brands, but these remain unnamed. Their design strategy is timeless pieces that are not trendy or not in seasonal trends, so that they last for years and are not subject to frequent seasonal change. These policies are what make Everlane attractive to the minimalist and sustainable vloggers. Their attractive policies also come with their own problems. Ethical fashion has three main tenets. The first is that it is made from materials and practices that are earth-friendly. The second is that they're not covered by seasonal trends, otherwise known as fast fashion, and they prefer to be slow fashion, which is essentially non-seasonal clothing. And number three is that they pay fair wages in safe environments. There are other ethical considerations, but these are kind of the three main tenets. Everlane's website includes a list of their factories with their locations, with their country locations, along with their pricing breakdown on how each garment is priced. However, what you don't get is the name or the precise factory they utilize. You do not get how much the workers in each are treated or paid, nor what benefits they receive. There is also no details about the number of workers or if they are unionized. In fact, it was only in late December 2019 that independent reports indicated that part-time Everlane employees who were receiving no benefits and were low paid basically had created a union to get requests for adequate financial compensation, protection and support from Everlane. This indicates that Everlane is not as radically transparent or ethical as they say. Simply stating that you have factories and ethics is not really good enough when you don't share the details on how much work employees are paid, what benefits they receive, and what their living and working conditions are. They also provide as part of their breakdown in their costs, they provide a transportation cost in their clothing cost breakdown, but do not participate in carbon offsetting. Or in fact, they do not state what transportation they use, or in fact what supply chain they use either. There is no third-party verification of their claims, not from B Corp, not from Fair Trade, nor from 1% for the planet. And yes, if you make grandiose claims, you should be able to prove it. If you call out H&M for having a conscious line without proof and label it as greenwashing, you should actually be calling out everyone, including Everlane. Vlogger Levi Hildebrand had questioned the quality of Everlane products while testing them out and stated that they don't really hold up. Ecostylist.com has failed Everlane, as has Good On You. Everlane is not living up to the promises it makes on its website or in its marketing. They have utilised their online community to promote their products. And on a positive note, their marketing team has done a phenomenal job. Other criticisms of Everlane include that the fabrics they utilise are non-sustainable, including animal leather, wool and exotic animal hair. However, this excludes fur, down or angora. This may not sit well with ethical editorials, or it may not bother you. However, these leather, wool and exotic animal hair are not recycled or upcycled fashion. It is new and therefore creating a resource drain to make and produce them. Since Everlane was founded in 2010 in San Francisco, it has been worn by tech companies and rapidly became popular for its minimalistic aesthetic. And as we know, quite often employees of tech companies and even the runners of tech companies tend to maintain a minimalist wardrobe. This success within tech companies in San Fran and Silicon Valley would have made them actually quite successful. However, using this to successfully campaign to be branded as sustainable has been left actually relatively unquestioned by both San Francisco tech companies and actually just the rest of the population. So I actually kind of find this quite problematic when they are being promoted as such. Companies such as H&M are consistently brought up as promoters of fast fashion, which is true, but because of this, they are actually watched quite closely and are quite frequently called out when they're greenwashing or promoting, consciousness or environmental lines that may not necessarily be either. On top of that, someone like H&M tends to get called out when they do have an ethical line and it is ethical because the rest of their sales are not. So people tend to say that you should boycott something like H&M, even their ethical line, because the rest of the company is not producing, or the rest of the company is producing fast fashion. But this same suspicion and calling out and research should actually be directed everywhere and at all fashion companies, even the ones that are stating that they're ethical. It seems that people just kind of go to Everlane's website and that's where they stop, which is a bad thing. Please research the companies that you are thinking of purchasing from. While I still have fashion items that are not sustainable or come from non-ethical companies, I can actually make better choices for the future. Hence why I'm now researching them. So while I don't throw out any of my current clothes until they actually are falling apart, which they haven't been, but still I can make better choices for my future, and Everlane at this point will remain off my list. What I will be doing is linking down below the articles I have mentioned or have used to do this video. There have been quite a few from companies like Remake. Huffington Post had an article about the unionisation of their workers to demand better hours and money and treatment. CompareEthics.com also has an article on Everlane. And so there's quite a few kind of little companies out there who have also, or ethical monitoring companies who have also questioned that Everlane does not actually live up to its radical transparency claims and does not actually live up to its other promises. It does not include transportation cost or supply chain cost, and it actually does not upcycle, recycle or use ethical fabric in all of its lines. I mean, this can be criticisms of some other companies as well, but the market that Everlane has come into has literally been won over by all of the promises that they have made. So you can actually check out those articles and that video by Levi at your leisure. Thanks for watching. As always, enjoy your morning, afternoon or evening depending on where you are in the day, and I of course will catch up with you in the next video. Bye everyone.